Linda. How are you
Hello.
today?
I'm good. I'm
Good.
good. How
Awesome.
are
Glad to
you?
hear it. All right. How's your voice feeling today?
It feels pretty good today.
Excellent. That's great to hear.
Yeah.
All righty. So tell me what you've been working on primarily.
Well, let's see. I practiced Sunday and Monday, and then had other things going on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, so I didn't practice. And then yesterday, I was just sort of trying to refamiliarize myself with like counting rhythms because
Sure.
I that's really been my struggle with this song. And then I sang a little bit, just practiced singing the song along with Kathleen
Nice. Yeah.
today. So that's what I've
Awesome.
been doing. And
All
I
right.
actually
Already today. That's
wondered,
awesome.
I wondered if as sort of a music theory piece of our lesson, maybe the first 15 minutes or something, if
Yeah.
we could, if you could remind me how to like count and, especially the 16th notes and the dotted,
Mm.
like when it's a dotted
For sure. Yeah. Just kind of
eighth note.
reviewing the
I mean,
rhythms and going back through
yeah,
that, just make sure we know how to count everything. Absolutely.
that would
For
be
sure.
great.
For sure. Okay, awesome. So, all right, so let's go ahead and we're gonna just try just covering that first, and then we'll go into the others. Did you want to do any like sight singing of the like clapping and counting, sight singing as well? I know with Handel, it's like those dotted rhythms really do play a part. So, um,
Yeah, I was just thinking of just focusing on the rhythms today
absolutely, yeah.
and then yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, and we can kind of expand that later.
Yeah.
So the first thing that I thought we'd go over, um, just to kind of a refresher, I'd say.
Right.
All right. So the first thing, just I'm going to share the screen with you. Here we go. So first thing, when we look here, we've got our whole note at the top. That's the 4 beats, or sometimes it's used for the whole measure. It doesn't necessarily have to mean it's 4 beats, it's the full
Ah,
measure. So it could be 4 beats, it could just mean the entire measure, whatever the time signature is. I have seen that. Half notes, 2 beats, 2 beats. So we've got hollow dot with a stem. Quarter notes, solid dot with a stem. They each get 1 beat. Eighth notes are going to be half of that quarter beat. So there are 8 of these to fill the full 4/4 measure. And those can have the little bar at the top attaching them together, which makes you visualize seeing them as like this is 1 beat. Or sometimes you'll see them with the little flag. 16th notes are just like an eighth note in visuals, except for the extra line. So they put an extra little flag or an extra bar across. Um, for rests, you're going to see a whole rest. The way I had a theory teacher tell me is he said there's a little man walking along the line and he falls into the hole. And so that's how you know it's a
ah,
whole rest. So if it looks like an upside down hat, like, a busking musician, right?
yeah,
If there's a little man, he falls in the hole. So it could look like an upside down hat or like someone falls into the hole. Half
yeah,
rests look like hats, so they're going to be 2 beats. Quarter rests are, you know how people will draw like birds in the sky, like choop choop? I kind of see them like a sideways bird that people do the little lines.
yeah. I can
So
see
a little
that.
like squiggle. Um, for those quarter rests. The eighth rests are like a funky 7 with a dot on the end.
Uh-huh.
And the 16th, they just add the extra little dot with a line there. So
Mm-hmm.
looking at those. So I first just wanted to go over those just as a
Sure.
quick review. And then let's go over. So if we have those solidly in our brain, the dotted rhythms are going to be a lot easier to understand.
Okay.
So now we're going to take a look at dotted notes, what they are, and what the counts are. So, all right, I'm pulling up a page for you to see here. Alrighty, so this little chart is going to be helpful for us. All right, share. There we go. Okay, so when we see a dot, um, what the dot literally means is we take the value of the note in front of it and we half it. So we have to think like math a little bit, like you're doing an algebra problem. So you see here we have a half note, which is 2 beats. So what is half of a half note? Would be 1 beat. So we say it's 2 beats plus 1 beat. So 2 beats plus half of the value. So the dotted half note is going to be 3 beats total because it's 2 plus half of 2, which is 1. So 2.5 or 2 and 1. So 2.5 of the 2. So the dot
Uh-huh.
equals half of the value of whatever note comes before it. So it's 2 plus 1. The half rest that looks like a hat, 2 plus 1. So 3 and 3 beats. Dotted half notes, 3 beats. So when we have the quarter note, you've got the solid dot with a stem with a dot next to it. It's 1 beat, right? So what is
Yeah.
half of 1 beat? It's 1.5 then, right? So 1 beat plus half of that beat. So 1.5. And so that's going to be basically the value of the quarter note plus an eighth note, but it's going to hold through. So if I was counting 1, 2, 3, 4, and I have that dotted quarter starting the measure with an eighth following, it's going to be 1, 2, and 3, 4. If I had the dotted quarter plus an eighth and then 2 quarters, or I could do dotted quarter plus an eighth, dotted quarter plus an eighth would be 1, 2, and 3, 4, and would be how that would be. Um, so dotted quarter note, one and a
So
half
the
beats.
sound just messed up. I don't know if you can hear
Oh,
me.
let me double check the settings on that. Is it like a delay or something?
Oh,
Or a, let me check.
it was there's like a buzz and then you went away for a little
Oh,
bit. Now
funny.
now it's back.
Oh,
Now it's back.
okay. All right. Yeah, let me just check. Like maybe it's headphones or something. Huh. Well, hopefully that
Okay.
clears up. So that rhythm again for a
Yeah.
dotted quarter note plus an eighth 2 times is going to be 1, 2, and 3, 4, and is how that
Yeah.
would.
Okay.
I wonder if there's like a delay with the clap being farther away from the mic than my mouth.
I don't know what it was. You're fine now.
Alrighty, awesome. I'm glad it works. Okay, so then we've got this dotted eighth note. We're going to do the
Yeah.
same process here. We have an eighth note plus a dot. So what is half of an eighth note? A 16th note. So this is going to be an eighth note plus a 16th note. And if you look and you divide like 4 quarter notes across, this is actually going to be 3/4 of one of those quarter notes, 1 beat. So this one's a little bit trickier to count. If I had the dotted eighth plus a 16th note following, I'm gonna count it subdivided by 4. So if I have 1, 2, 3, 4, I'm gonna say 1E and 2E and 3E and 4E and so I have to
And
divide it by
okay.
4. When I do eighths, I count 1 and 2 and. But when I count
Okay.
the subdivision of 16th notes, because there are 16 of those in one measure,
One E
there's
and
4 of those per 1 beat. 1E and 2E and 3E and 4E and. So if I
okay.
have this dotted eighth plus a 16th, and I do that 4 times, will equal the full measure. It's 1E and 2E and 3E and 4E and so those are a little bit trickier. Dotted eighth note, 3/4 of a beat if you're going by 4/4 time, and it's the quarter note, which is what you'll see the most often. So now let's take some hypothetical rhythms.
Or we could use the
We can use the song too. Yes,
yeah.
absolutely, absolutely. Yes, yes, yes. I want to show you this though because it actually writes in the counts for you, which I think
Okay.
will be helpful to visualize.
Sure.
Um, so I'm going to show you an example where they wrote it in above, and so then you can have that visual to help. So do you see in the top line, we just have eighth notes mixed in. So they've got 1, 2, 3, 4. They put the beats where you're not going to clap in a parentheses, so it's like a silent beat. And then they've got 1 and 2, silent 3, 4, right? So they write it in so you can count it. This can be a really helpful thing to do when you have really tricky rhythms, is actually handwriting it in for yourself on your music to help yourself clarify that, and just slow it way down and then gradually speed it up and up and up, and you'll be like, ah, there we go. And start kind of like start with the clapping
Okay.
it in time and counting it in time out loud, and then try fitting your words in slowly with that rhythm and
Okay.
speeding them up. The first line is going to be um, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, and 4, and. That's a little bit easier, right? Now, you're going to be thinking in terms of counting the subdivision with the 16th notes. So we're going to be more like these second two examples. So we have example, the next one, we're counting in 1E and 2E and all the time. Even when you have longer notes, it's going to help you stay on track. So we have 1E and 2E and 3E and 4E and 1E and 2E and 3E and 4E and 1E and 2E and wait, I did that wrong. So third measure, 1E and 2E and 3E and 4E and 1E and 2E and 3E and 4E and. It's going to feel really slow clapping wise when you're counting the 1E and does, but because we do have 16th notes in there, you're going to want to say that. Now for this last example, this one is not going to feel as slow because it has a lot of the 16th notes. So we start with 16th notes right off the bat. So we go 1E and 2E and 3E and 4E and 1E and 2E and 3E and 4E and 1E and 2E and 3E and 4E and 1E and 2E
Oh, that's
and
tricky.
3E and 4E and yeah. So when you've got like the 16th note, then the 8th, then the 16th note, it's 1E and 1E and 1E and like that. So that one's a little bit trickier. I'm going to send you a link to this page so you can see
Oh,
that.
good.
And they actually have where you can play it underneath. They've got the play button and you can listen to it to check yourself.
Ah,
So this top example here has the dotted rhythms. You can actually write out dotted rhythms like this example 1C, where they write out all the 16th notes and 8th notes for you and like do ties. So you can visualize that a little differently. But you also can do it this way with the dots. So this one I think is a little trickier, like you're finding with your dotted rhythms in the piece. They're going to have 1E and rest, 3E and 4 and. So that's how it's going to start. So you've got 1E and 2E and 3E and 4E and 1E and 2E and 3E and 4E and 1. Oops. So this is where, remember how I said you can write the dots or you can do ties? So they're kind of showing you the differences there. So we've got 1E and 2E and 3E and 4E and that third measure is pretty tricky because you've got 1 and 2 and 3 and then you have 4 and. So that I think is a little bit tricky.
yeah, very tricky.
1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. And then that
Okay.
last measure is going to be tricky, but not as much as that third measure there. Um, so so you see how they have the tie again. So I could actually write things out with ties or the dots.
Okay.
But you also can have ties and dots, like they show in example 2b. So let's actually jump down to example 2b, and let's go just to that second measure, and then we're going to do the third measure as well. So that second measure of example 2b, we have 1e and 2e and 3e and 4e and so that measure, they didn't write it in, so you would have to maybe like print it and write it yourself if you wanted that visual. Uh, a quarter rest, right? So we have 1e and of rest. Then the second beat is going to be 2e and and you're going to have the 16th note on the last part. So 2e and because you have the dotted eighth there.
2E and Okay.
Exactly. And then you have for the third beat, you have an eighth rest, which is going to be half of your quarter beat. So you have 3E and, so it's just 3 and then your fourth beat is going to be 2/16 plus an eighth. So 4E and, so you're going to be clap, clap, rest. Now let's look at that third measure. You've got some ties and dotted notes here. So this is going to be a little tricky because a tie means you add the value to it. The reason they write it out this way is so you can see clearly the division of the 4 beats. So we see the eighth note and the eighth note, right? Eighth rest, eighth note, that's one beat. We see clearly the dotted eighth with the 16th note bracketed. That's another beat. We see clearly the eighth notes bracketed together. That's another beat. So it's to help us mentally process. But with the tie, we go, oh, those hold out for that full value of this plus this. So we go 1E and 2E and 3E and 4E and so we have to hold instead of clapping separately for each of those notes, we have to hold it out for both. So the value of this 3/4 of a beat plus an eighth note would be 3/4 plus 1/2. So how many fourths is that? Right? That's going to be 5/4. Yeah, so that's a little bit tricky in our brain. Or the 16th note plus the eighth is going to be 3/4. So that 16th note plus the eighth tied together is actually the exact same value as the dotted eighth. It's 3/4 and 3/4, right? So it actually is the same thing, just written in a different way. So some of these do get pretty tricky. So that's why I'm going to send you this particular link to this page because they kind of progressively get more complex and they have some of the counts written in for you, plus they have the tracks where you can hear the differences. So I'm putting the link in there for you. It's at fundamentalchanges.com/sight reading rhythm part 2. So a little more advanced sight reading rhythm there. And they have other resources on the website too. So if you want to poke around a little bit or go maybe to part 3, you can. Right? So just it kind of progressively gets a little more complex. So yeah, so take a look at that this week and that'll help kind of further that. Now let's go look at the actual piece. So we are going to be looking at your actual song now, or aria that we are looking at. So the correct term would be aria.
Because why? What does that mean?
A song and an aria are a little bit different. An aria is from a larger piece of work. A song is more of a standalone song. So arias would be in operas or oratorios. It's a part of a larger work. So we are looking at a piece that is part of an oratorio. And so we consider that an aria. An arietta is a small version of an aria. So it's just a shorter aria. So kind of a cute little name for that, arietta. So let's go ahead and take a look here at our piece. All right. So let's see. What measures do we want to look at here? All right. Do you have certain spots that are harder for you than others, or do you want to maybe just start at the beginning, like in the A phrase? We can look at. We'll find all the dotted rhythms and we'll figure that out.
All right. It's going to get hard. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sharing the screen so you can see what I'm looking at too, but you can also take notes on your sheet music. All right, so we're looking at this A phrase, and it's the second measure of that A phrase. We've got a dotted eighth plus a 16th, right? So we are going to be looking at this and going, okay, um, how do I count that? We've got not 4/4 time like we were just doing. Now we have 3/4 time, which is a little bit different. So for that measure, know that those two words, we have 1, 2, 3, right? So we have 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a is how we're going to divide that. So we're going 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a, right? So that dotted eighth is going to be 3/4 of that beat. The 16th note is the fourth part of that beat, so just 1/4 of it. So that rhythm is going to be da 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 da, yeah, for that dotted eighth plus 16th. If you had a
Okay.
whole measure of 3 dotted eighths plus a 16th, it would be 1 E and da, 2 E and da, 3 E and da. Is how that would be.
Okay.
But we're holding the no for two beats. So it's 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a. So it's no that. Now let's look at this deemer, right? Redeemer. So that's the 1, 2, 3, 4th measure of the A section. So this we have a dotted quarter plus an eighth. The tie here is not actually a tie. This is a slur. A tie has to be the same note to the same note. So if it was A to A or G to G, then that would be a tie and it would add the rhythm. But because the note
Ah,
changes, it's called a slur. And that just tells us to make it legato and kind of slide from one to the next. So you're going
ah,
to think more, that's telling you to be really smooth and connected through there. So
okay.
that actually is not holding the rhythm or gluing them together and extending. Instead, it's telling us make this very flowing. Yeah. So that's a
Mm-hmm.
little differentiation there, especially since we talked about ties. Um, so ties are only when it's the same note to same note. A lot of the time you see ties across the bar line. So like if I had an A and then a bar line and another A and I put a tie, a little smiley line underneath it, that would be a good example of like a spot where you have to have the tie because it's a separate measure, right? So you see that pretty often where you have a tie
Ah,
across the bar line. Um, like stand. Stand is a good example. This is a tie. He shall
uh-huh.
stand. That ties across the bar line from a B to a B and it just holds out. It
Mm-hmm.
glues them together. It says 3 beats plus 1.5 beat. Glue them together, they just hold out, right?
Okay.
But up here we have slurs saying make these smooth and connected and gliding. So here
Mm-hmm.
we have Redeemer. We have on D, Deemer, we have 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and. We actually don't have to do the andas here because we don't have any 16th notes. So you can just do 1 and 2 and 3 and instead. You can count it just by ands as well. So if I did that entire phrase, that whole first line of the A section, we have 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 E and 1, 2, 3, 1 and 2 and 3, 1, 2, 3. So yeah, I do think that writing in the rhythms might be really helpful as you go
Oh,
through. Stand is that tie we just talked about, 3 beats plus 1.5 beats. And then these are just straight eighths that flow out of that. So this measure would be 1 and 2 and 3 and at the. Latter is another tie, and day is another tie where they add the value 3 beats plus 1.5 beats. And then you have 3/8 notes. And then you've
mm-hmm.
got day, 3 beats plus 1.5 beats, and then 3/8 notes. Let's do day through the upon the line. And also, I want to point out this will be the earth. The rule is anytime the comes before a word that starts in a consonant, we say the latter day, but upon the earth, because anytime that word
Oh,
comes before a word that starts in a vowel, it's the. And it just makes it a lot more clear
interesting.
to our ear. But that's a standard rule in classical singing. Um, so like in choirs, they'll do that. And so just a general rule of thumb when you're looking at classical music. So looking at day through the end of that line. So we have 3 beats plus 1.5 starting out. Then the straight eighth notes are going to come. But then we have 16th notes into an eighth. We're going to ignore this little tiny note there for a moment. That is an ornamentation. It's not part of the main rhythm. So just forget about
Okay.
that for a second. So look at just the last measure of that line. It's going to be 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and right? But obviously
Oh,
we're going to take it a lot faster,
okay.
right? So it's going to be 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and or 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and so we're holding the day. So a upon thee, right? So now if we add this little ornamentation note, it's just gonna like gloss into the A. So it just kind of like da da. It's just sort of like da da. You kind of fall into the A. It's not even a full value of any certain note value. It's just a tiny little ornamentation we add in. So de upon the earth. So it's like it's almost like a stutter or like a stumble. Da da. So just like an extra little funky thing that we add that just adds some interest in there. Um, so yeah, so um, at the latter down here in the B section, we have 1, 2, 3 and 1, 2, 3 and. So we've got the tie there for latter again. So yeah, so this would be a good thing to go through this week and just kind of write in
Mm-hmm.
anytime you have a funky measure, just write in the rhythms above it and help
Sure.
yourself. Another thing that their handle's doing a lot is he's going from it feeling like 3/4 time to feeling almost like 6/8 time because we've got these dotted quarters and then 3/8. And so we almost feel those in two.
Ah,
Da, 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 da. So it almost turns into like a 6/8 feel. And then it
okay.
goes back to that 3/4 feel.
That's
So
good
it
to
kind of
know.
wiffle waffles back and forth. So just keep that in mind too, that it's just something that if you kind of like mentally note, like, oh, this feels more like 2 big beats separated by 3. 1 da da 2 da 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 turns more into like a waltz feel, and then it goes da 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 da, and it's where the accents fall in the rhythm. So like this measure day upon the earth is going to feel more like 6/8 time. Da 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 da, right? But then on earth I know, on the C measure it's clearly 3/4 time. Earth I know, right? So it feels much more like 3/4. So that's just something to kind of mentally note. Even this measure in the C section at the bottom here, liveth and he shall, that's divided more like a 6/8 measure. 1, 2, 3, li. Let's see. Bup, 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 bup. Yeah, so it would be divided then. So da, I was like, how would I feel that? Yeah. So it's going to be liveth and he shall.
Okay.
And he shall. Liveth and he shall. Liveth and he shall. Liveth and he shall. So we're still feeling those liveth and he liveth and he shall. Liveth, and he shall. So you feel it more.
Okay.
Liveth, and he shall. So we feel more like the strong beats on live and it's it's kind of a funky thing. So that just makes the rhythmic feel a little different too. So yeah, it's a little tricky to get. So then after you go through and clap and count everything and figure out that clearly, then go back and try speaking it in time. So why don't we try together now? We're just going to go through and we're going to speak it in time. So we're going to have right. So we're going to take it a little under tempo. 1, 2, 3, just because we want to be able to count those clearly. So 1, 2. I know that my Redeemer liveth. Rest, and then we go into this empty section with an instrumental. Let's start at the and he. So rest, and that he shall stand at the latter day, upon the earth. Nice, yeah, excellent. Now the B phrase. So we're going to start with 2 rests. So we go rest, rest. I know that my. All right, let's do it again. So rest, rest. I know that my Redeemer liveth, and that he shall stand at the latter day upon the earth, upon the earth. I know that my Redeemer liveth, and he shall stand. Did I do that right? Let me double check. Liveth, and he, liveth, and yes, we did it right. I just second guessed myself. We had it. All right, so let's start at the C again. So earth, I know that my Redeemer liveth, and he shall stand. And at the latter day upon the earth, upon the earth. 2, 3. Excellent. Yes. So work on just really clearing up those rhythms this week. Let's go ahead and sing through it.
Okay.
All right, we're going to try it. We're going to sing through, just you and me together. So no Kathleen for now. We can keep it a little slower, which I definitely think can help slowing those down. All right. All right, so let's start. Those are our starting notes here. So 1, 2. I know that my Redeemer liveth. Rest, rest. 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 3, 2, 3. Breathe. And that he shall 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 3, 2, 3, rest, rest. I know that my Redeemer liveth, and that he shall stand at the last today upon the earth, upon the earth. I know that my Redeemer liveth, and he shall stand at the last today upon the earth, upon the earth. Okay, let's go ahead and do that again. My breath is not as great today. I probably should use my inhaler. I've had a little bit of like allergy stuff because like deep cleaning and stuff I've been doing lately. So
Right.
bear with me. I have to breathe in funky spots right now.
You're nesting.
I guess so. All right, we're going to do that again. Reinforce it. All right, 1, 2. I know that my Redeemer liveth. Rest, rest. 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 3, 2, 3. Breathe. And that he shall stand at the last today upon the earth. 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 3, 2, 3, 1. Breathe. I know that my Redeemer liveth, and that he shall stand at the last today upon the earth, upon the earth. I'm so sorry. It's sticking and I need it to slide. I'm like, go. It's doing something funky. I must have hit something wrong. Okay, let's just do that. Oh, I see. Okay, there we go. I got it.
All right.
So sorry. Start at earth into the C phrase. 1, 2, breathe. Earth, I know that my Redeemer liveth, and he shall stand and at the last today upon the earth, upon the earth. So that last spot, earth upon the earth. Yeah. So I think this week doing just kind of rhythm cleanup is a really great focus. And then if you maybe want to
Okay.
work ahead and take a look at some of the rhythms in like the D and E phrases as well, those
Sure.
sections, um, and maybe write those rhythms in for yourself,
Mm-hmm.
but also work through the rhythms in that lesson, fundamentalchanges.com, sight reading rhythm part two. Try just working through that whole post that they have. And
Yeah, that'd be hard.
they've got the playable examples as well. So you can challenge yourself and then check yourself, which is great.
Yeah.
I know
Yeah, that'd be
that it's
great.
hard when you've got people doing ornamentation in the recordings to be like,
Right.
what is just the basic, like, what Handel wrote version?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, so that's why I think it's good for us to do that detailed work. And I would
Mm-hmm.
say maybe this week, don't listen to any recordings of other people singing it and recording it, and just really focus on you kind of conquering and mastering just like as Handel wrote it. We can always add
Okay.
ornamentation in later. So let's just focus. I feel like Handel is challenging enough just doing it as he
Yeah.
wrote it. Um, and so adding in the extras, I think, is mostly unnecessary with Handel because he puts so much in
Okay.
it already,
Okay.
he himself. Some Baroque composers didn't put as much, and so then it's like, oh, we really need to add ornamentation. But Handel puts so much in there already that I feel like you don't necessarily even have to do it. So um, I
Okay.
think for right now, let's just really focus on just learning it as he wrote it.
Wrote it.
And then we can always add a little bit if we're like, it's a little boring here. Let's add something more. But I don't think Handel's boring. So I feel like
Yeah.
Handel and Bach kind of, J.S. Bach kind of, they're not boring, so we don't really
Uh,
need to add any extras. They're good on their own,
all
but we
right.
can add. There was one Bach oratorio piece I learned that was a little boring, so I added quite a bit of ornamentation to that when I was in grad school. My teacher even was like, "Are you sure you want to learn this one? It's kind of boring." And I was like, "I think it's really pretty." And she was like, "Okay." But then I added a lot of ornamentation to it, and then it was much more exciting then.
All right.
So yeah,
Great.
I think this was great. This was a really good use of our time, and it's going to be really helpful as we learn more of the piece too. That you feel a
Yeah.
lot more secure and confident. So yeah, you got some work to do this week, but I think it'll be really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, so just really
Okay.
fleshing out those rhythms this week. Maybe write in the rhythms like I showed you they did above. The
I
one
will do.
ands and the one e and does can be really helpful.
Yeah.
And then if it's a
Okay.
rest, just put the beat in a parentheses so you know that you don't actually do anything on that note. It's a note of silence. So a beat of
Yes.
silence. Yeah. Awesome.
All
Well,
right.
great work today. So keep
Thank
up the
you.
good work, and I look forward to seeing
Thank
you
you.
next time.
I'll see you next time.
All right.
All
Bye,
right.
Linda. Have a good rest of your
Bye.
weekend. Stay safe with the snow that's coming. I saw it's going to be like -2 tonight. So,
Oh boy. Again.
oh boy, more
I
snow.
think it's going to be better the next week though than it
I
was.
think so. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Not as bad as last weekend, but still a little bit. So
Yeah.
just be aware. Yeah. It was like,
Okay.
uh-oh, another -2. I better drip my faucets.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Yeah, we uh
Okay.
we have copper pipes too, so apparently they freeze faster, so we gotta be
Uh,
quiet.
yeah, we cut our
Alrighty,
light
well,
running all
have a
week.
good one, and I'll see you next
Okay.
week. Keep up the great
Thanks.
work.
You
Bye,
too. Bye.
Linda.